obviously don't come across with your British pompous attitude. And so they had this given sort of pride.
Desmond was born at a time when black communities in the UK faced high unemployment, discrimination, and racially motivated attacks. Trix says this environment shaped him and the show.
Life for me then was tough, like for all black migrants. It was tough because, you know, on a Saturday night, when the pubs turned out, we were the sport. What I mean by that is that people going out drunk looking to go and beat up some black people, you know, so you had to take licks or you give licks, you know. It was that migrant story. They didn't want me there. We never used to walk with our back to the traffic because we couldn't see the bandits pull up and they also come out with, you know, baseball bats. The police could drive by and actually pick you up and say, you know, for suspicion to steal something.
The show didn't shy away from looking at difficult topics.
I did an episode about guns, which was a two-parter. I remember going to see Michael Grade, head of Channel 4 then, to say, look, I want to do a two-parter about a gun, because at the time, guns started to be registered in amongst gangs in Peckham. So he goes, yeah, so you want to do a two-part about a gun. So how's that fun? That's going to make people laugh. Don't worry, I'll make people laugh.
You know, sometimes I think to myself, oh, bye. Life can't be that bad. Then I look at you with that gun in your hand and I think, it is.
Listen, Lord, a lot of people are working damn hard to improve their lives. And there are a lot of people striving to improve the image of black people in the eyes of the general public, so they don't think we're all muggers and thieves. For every 100 good things we achieve, it only takes one incident like this to cancel it all out.
Thanks for the campaign speech, but right now, I don't need it.
So think of your family, hmm? Think of the pain you're going to cause them.
Think about your father who tried to bring you up honest and decent. My father? Do you know?
Over 6 seasons and 71 episodes, millions tuned in around the country to watch the ups and downs of the Ambrose family. The warmth and humour of Desmond's made the show a hit with not only black audiences, but with viewers all over the UK.
I wrote this for white people. I didn't write, we know who we are. I wanted to show white people what we were like, rather than the negative that we saw on images of past comedies.
Trix Worrell believed the show made a difference to how black people were seen in the UK.
It showed that whatever white people had perception of black people was changed by Desmond's. They just saw a migrant family struggling like every other family and comedy and madness and were just trying to survive, you know, that was the thing. Desmond's is a warm and fuzzy place. A big shout out for me was James Corden. I did 6 years of British comedy, right, of Desmond's was featured. I did a speech and then it was followed by James Corden saying that it was one of the funniest shows that he'd ever seen and he didn't know any black people.
Equating about 1,000 people from Makuta, a town almost encircled by wildfires. It's part of the authorities' attempts to get thousands of people in the states of Victoria and New South Wales to safety ahead of extreme fire conditions forecast for Saturday. Officials in Indonesia say they're planning to seed the clouds to try to divert rain away from the capital Jakarta. More than 40 people are now known to have died in the flooding there. Security camera footage is reported to have revealed former Nissan car chief Carlos Ghosn
parking mode off
by simply walking out of his house alone. Mr. Ghosn pledged to Lebanon to avoid trial for alleged financial crimes. One reported suggests that he had been smuggled out in a musical instrumental case. British scientists say testicular cancer can be treated successfully with fewer chemotherapy drugs than currently used. Their research found that one cycle of chemotherapy was as effective as the standard 2 cycles. BBC News.
Welcome to Science in Action from the BBC World Service, the first edition in the year 2020, and I'm Roland Pease. We're going to look forward to a fantastic NASA mission to Mars that's launching later in this year, but we're also going to be looking back at lessons from some of the disasters, actually, in 2019. There's some interesting stuff. This week, I'm joined by my guest, Molly Bentley. Molly.
Hello, Roland, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. And you are?
I am the executive producer of a radio show that is here in the United States called Big Picture Science. It's produced at the SETI Institute. We are on stations all over the country, and the occasion that's bringing us together, I'm so pleased that we're looking at each other. We are at the American Geophysical Union meeting here in San Francisco, California.
I'll be very interested in your comments on this first interview, which is with two of the scientists, an engineer and a researcher, on the Mars 2020 mission, which will be launching later this year in June.
Katie Stack Morgan. I'm the Deputy Project Scientist for Mars 2020 and a Research Scientist at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
And I'm Jim Bell. I'm a professor at Arizona State University and the Principal Investigator of the Mastcam-C cameras on the Mars 2020 rover.
So Mars 2020's job is to cache and collect samples and leave them on the surface for a potential mission to bring back to Earth, with the hope that we will have Martian samples on Earth to analyze and to help us understand more about the planet Mars and role of life in the solar system.
And Katie, I think part of your responsibility was finding the right place. You've got a massive planet there.
We've selected Jezero Crater as a landing site for Mars 2020, and it's a crater that was the site of an ancient lake and a delta that is preserved there in the crater today for us to explore. And it's in that region of very, very ancient rocks on Mars. So we have the potential with the Mars 2020 rover to check out a surface site where an ancient lake once existed, where we think life could have existed if it had been there, but also look at some of the most ancient rocks in the solar system.
And of course it's preserved, it's not all been eroded, destroyed by the terrestrial process that we have here.
On Mars, we potentially have this preserved rock record during the same time when life was arising on Earth. And so we hope that we're capturing that time on Mars when life could have potentially arisen there, and we'll be looking at those rocks in 2020.
Jim, I've spoken to geologists who say how much they'd love to go to Mars and pick these things up and look at them. You're responsible in a sense for doing this remotely for them, having the right kit that they can get some kind of sense of what's going on there.
You know, our job on the camera team is to sort of be the eyes of the rover, help us scout out great places to go look for the samples that we want to collect, maybe bring back, help make decisions about driving, about placing the arm down onto samples, and building 3D models of the landscape that we can use for science and for engineering and operations. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
What does that mean in terms of the camera systems? What are the challenges?
There's a huge number of challenges just related to the environment. Your cell phone wouldn't survive the launch, right? Shaken apart. The shocks of deploying various things on the system, the landing process, the decelerations. Once you get to the surface, the constant heating and cooling